So another phenomenon that explains why some people in the economy make extraordinary high amounts of money, while people with just maybe a teeny tiny bit less talent or ability or luck make just dramatically less, is the emergence of a lot of winner-take-all markets, especially with technology. So you may or may not recognize this person in the picture here. If I told you that's a cello in his hand, you probably could figure it out, because who's heard of any cellist except for Yo-Yo Ma, who's no doubt an extraordinary cellist. But there are a lot of good cellists in the economy, well, in the world, but he is the best by wide acknowledgement. Well, if you're going to buy a CD or an MP3 or whatever of a cellist, are you going to buy Yo-Yo Ma, who's the best, his CD, or the second best cellist, who's just most of us wouldn't be able to tell. But Yo-Yo Ma's the best, I'm going to buy that one, why not? And indeed, the technology, first audio recording technology, now of course the internet, when it's easy to get the very best cello player's music, why would you pay for the second best? Think back to a time before all this when I was just talking with my son who's into theater about how movies used to be done. They had silent films that had captions, and there was live music at the movie to make the soundtrack, because they developed film recording, visual recording before they developed the audio. Well, before broadcast radio, they had, every town had multiple performing groups that would play at, various functions. Live music was your only option. Well, now, we still have metropolitan area symphonies, but even a lot of those are struggling because the quality of an audio recording is very, very high now. And again, through that, you can get the very best musicians' music right in your home on your surround sound stereo. And why would you go for the second best? So we have just whoever is just a shade better gets all the market, and so they make millions, while the very next cello player makes who knows, 100,000. I don't know what the scale is for top level musicians, but a lot less. Other winner take all markets, of course, include sports. If we were measuring reaction time to fastballs or, the pitch speed or control, there very likely is just a very fine difference between the very, very best pitcher and the second best pitcher, or the third best pitcher. And I pulled up for baseball salaries, the salaries for 2015, and Clayton Kershaw is going to make $32.5 million next year. And he's a good pitcher. He choked in the playoffs, but he's no doubt, everybody acknowledges he's the best pitcher in the game. But, talent-wise, he's probably just a shade better than maybe Justin Verlander's the next best. He's certainly the next highest paid. Anyway, very small differences in talent can make big differences in pay. The difference between a minor leaguer and a major leaguer is very, very narrow at the margin. The major leaguer, though, is going to make a minimum salary of $400,000 a year. If they're in for 5 years, they get vested in a lifetime, very generous pension. Fantastic rewards. Well, a minor leaguer who might be maybe just as good, just didn't get the break at the right time, is going to be struggling along at tens of thousands and no pension. And these very small differences in ability make huge differences in salary. And part of this is the winner-take-all market. If you're going to watch a game on TV, are you going to watch the best player in the game or the second best? Well, what the heck? Watch the best player in the game. Although I can't personally watch a Dodgers game, but anyway, that's the phenomenon in sports. We see this a lot. And let's take another example. Stephon Curry for the Warriors. The guy's amazing, and when he comes into town, people pay to see him play. Ticket sales across the league go up when the Warriors are in town. And, for the reasons we talked about, economic rent, because he's so good, and people pay so much money to buy tickets for NBA games. Stephen Curry is bringing millions and millions of dollars in revenue to his employers. And we know that he'll, through bargaining and through a competition for his services, that's going to accrue to him. There's players out there that are darn good on the playground and that barely didn't make the NBA. If we saw them both play next to each other, most of us probably wouldn't be able to tell which was the better player. They're both so much better than we are. But at the NBA level, those differences make a huge difference. And Stephen Curry makes tens of millions of dollars, while someone who's very nearly as good is playing basketball on the playground in his spare time, or playing for a minor league franchise at much less pay. Then finally, another example of a winner-take-all market. There's a lot of literature on CEO pay. This graphic was I thought, really clever, even though it was from 2008. The CEO pay has exploded, and there's a lot of reasons for it. Some people say the CEO pay is a rigged game. They sit on each other's boards and on each other's compensation committees. They know when they give one another a raise that means they're going to get a raise. It's a totally rigged, corrupt game. That's one story. But another story is that the complexity of today's multinational corporation is so great that if you have a manager of even slightly more ability, then the rewards to that company are going to be $1 billion higher. Well, then if that's the case, then paying somebody $100 million a year, as this Bruce Wasserstein made in 2008, well, then that's a good investment. Now, there's been research in management that show that the firms that overpay their CEOs actually perform worse than average. And, so there's both a theoretical and empirical argument in the literature about this phenomenon of CEO pay, but there's no question that it takes a very special type of person to be a successful CEO, and even though their skills might be just a shade better than the next best person, there's a very vigorous competition for the services of that very best manager, and their pay rate is explosively high as a result.